Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys. Sup? Is my camera not focused? Is that better? Okay, London. England's megacity, capital of the UK. Love learning about London. Preemptive like TDC. Give it a subscribe. Preemptive sub. I gotta every again, just like the witch and the pig, and I can't stop seeing it now. Whenever somebody called it I was like, oh, that building looks strange, and then someone's like, oh, that's the walkie-talkie tower, because you guys call it because it looks like a walkie-talkie. I'm not a fan of the look, okay, but the egg-shaped one looks pretty cool, and you have a really cool looking skyscraper.
City until 1925.
Why can't you see it?
Is now a mature, well-planned
It's like a really, really pointy
metropolis
thing.
with a population of
Is that it?
13.7 million. It's a highly admired place and is consistently ranked as a top 3 most visited destination on the planet, making its airspace the busiest on Earth.
Behind what, I wonder?
As the largest urban economy in Europe, with the greatest concentration of top-class universities, it has hosted the Summer Olympics a record 3 times. It has something for everyone, whether you're
There it is.
after
There it is. I love the look of that building. This one right here. Not a fan of this one. Real big fan of this one. That one looks awesome.
You're after luxury, the world's most 5-star hotels, nature, the world's largest urban forest in a city with more than 40% green space,
Look at that grass.
sports, the world's highest total stadium capacity, or entertainment, the world's biggest theater audience.
And
While the high life continues for many, this city has seen its share of tough times. This is London, the Empire City. Londinium was founded in 43 AD along the River Thames as a gateway for
oh, I don't know how accurate this is. I got really excited.
goods and people entering Britannia from every corner of the Roman Empire. A walled city covering roughly 1.5 square kilometers, Roman London reached a population of 60,000 in the 2nd century. But the empire soon came under severe crisis, and by the 4th century,
Was that Tiberius? What emperor is that? Is that Caesar?
empire soon came under
Trajan?
severe crisis, and by the 4th century, Londinium was completely abandoned. After 700 years, what was now called London had recovered to become the largest town in England.
I learned about that
The
bridge
construction
from
of
Jay
Westminster
Foreman.
Abbey in the 11th century ensured its place as the heart of the country. Since then, the Abbey has hosted every coronation of an English or British monarch. Its most recent royal wedding was Prince William to
You guys do not realize how because you're probably numb to the fact. There's a good quote that I do not know who to attribute it to, but that Americans think 100 years is a long time, and British people think 100 miles is a long distance. And there's so much truth to that. But more importantly, the Americans think 100 years is a long time, because I think you guys are spoiled in the way that you have such a long history dating back to the Romans, and then of course like 1066 and onward. But just seeing buildings that were created 1100 is crazy and amazing to me, and I hope you guys don't take that for granted.
Catherine Middleton, and last month, the state funeral of Elizabeth II took place at the Abbey. Sitting alongside is the Palace of Westminster, home to the government of the United Kingdom with its 2 houses of Parliament. Westminster lies just southwest of the City of London, a ceremonial district that covers a bit more than a square mile. It constituted most of settled London through the Middle Ages and is today one of the world's most important financial centers. The Royal Exchange, seen here with work being done to its facade, was the center of London commerce. Originally opened by Queen Elizabeth I, Royal Herald.
Guys, how did he get this amazing video view footage? It's like way better than Google Maps.
Of London commerce. Originally opened by Queen Elizabeth I, royal heralds still shout the news of historic events from its steps, like the dissolution of Parliament and the start of a new monarch's reign.
3 cheers for His Majesty the King! Hip hip! Hooray!
Just outside the city's borders is the Tower of London. Originally a castle built by King William the Conqueror, it has served as a grand royal palace, a prison, a treasury, a menagerie, the Royal Mint, a public record office.
What is a menagerie? Is that like a zoo?
And the home of the crown jewels of England. In the 1660s, it was an armory, during the most destructive event in London's history.
William of Orange?
Still reeling from the Great Plague that year that had killed 100,000 people, nearly a quarter of its population, Londoners awoke on the morning of September 2nd, 1666,
yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
To high winds and smoke.
Hey guys, what do Germans think about the USA?
Oh, really?
Easy German.
Guys, sorry, that was my other video that I recorded. I like to watch a lot of videos, and so I publish them while I'm watching the next one.
On the morning of September 2nd, 1666, to high winds and smoke. Over 4 days, most of the medieval city was destroyed by a raging fire. The Tower of London garrison used gunpowder to create effective fire breaks that stopped the fire's spread to the east. Although there's never been an official death toll, several thousand were likely killed. And
so is that the same concept of farmers burning? Like if a farmer's crop is on fire, they will purposely burn or like shred up a lot of their crops surrounding the fire so that it can't spread anymore? Is that the same concept?
Although there's never been an official death toll, several thousand were likely killed, and thousands of buildings were reduced to ash, including over 13,000 homes, 90 churches, and St. Paul's Cathedral. In the aftermath, many architects submitted plans reimagining grand boulevards along a grid system that would become popular in urban America. But the businessmen of the city were eager to rebuild and mostly stuck to the old street plan, although they widened some streets and built with brick and stone rather than flammable wood. Even without an extensive redesign, the cost of the rebuild forced the City of London Corporation into default and forced thousands of its newly homeless residents to resettle in the countryside, with a little push from King Charles II, who feared they might revolt. So how did London survive a devastating plague and fire in the same year? The simplest explanation is that the culture of the city at this time was historically dynamic, cultivating ingenuity in every aspect.
I'm sorry, guys. How is he getting this amazing, whether it's footage or CG? This is amazing.
Time was historically dynamic, cultivating ingenuity in every aspect of society. London's population had recently exploded leading up to the Great Plague and fire, growing from 50,000 to 500,000. As the main port in the North Sea, its ships were taking full advantage of new trading opportunities in the Americas and Asia.
Don't call me annoying by pausing all the time. How sick is this? That's a beautiful picture, and it's got the clouds coming over it.
And taking full advantage of new trading opportunities in the Americas and Asia. And one new commodity they brought back gave Londoners a huge jolt: coffee. The foreign brew was served in houses that became meeting places to catch up on and debate the news of the day. Soon, houses catered to particular trades like craftsmen, writers, and explorers. The free exchange of ideas they encouraged gave rise to the UK's National Academy of Sciences, whose members included the coffeehouse-addicted Robert Hooke, the great Isaac Newton, chemist Robert Boyle, philosopher John Locke, and prolific architect Christopher Wren. Coffeehouse culture also fueled the world's first great capitalist economy. Edward Lloyd's house specialized in obtaining the most reliable shipping news. A waiter there would read out the latest bulletins, then pin them to a wall, attracting long-distance traders eager to make deals
Is this the first stock
and
market?
obtaining the most reliable.
I'm very curious of how the stock market worked before digital exchanges. That must have been crazy.
Shipping news. A waiter there would read out the latest bulletins, then pin them to a wall, attracting long-distance traders eager to make deals on site. Today, Lloyd's has evolved into the world's main insurance market, an unseen but vital engine in the globalized economy, where brokers and underwriters can still meet face-to-face to form the trust necessary to close deals that are too risky or unique for any other market. This culture also established in 1694 the Bank of England, creating a publicly financed national debt, an innovation that positioned Britain as a global superpower and its capital as the world's most important city of the 1700s. London's wealth allowed it to finance the most powerful navy the world had ever seen. The memorial column at Trafalgar Square commemorates the victory that cemented Britain's superiority on the high seas. The battle saw an outnumbered...
Hey, I've been there. Trafalgar Square. I remember that. I visited, last time I visited the UK was like before I learned a lot of the history of UK, so like I didn't appreciate a lot. I'm just like, oh, Trafalgar Square. What is Trafalgar? Okay, this seems pretty cool. That's a nice statue. I want to go back and just look at. I'm not a big nightlife person. Okay, don't get me wrong. I like to go out to bars every now and then, but I am a lightweight and I tend to get kind of crazy and do stupid things that I regret in the morning. But I love going to museums, going out of the city and just looking at the homeland, my homeland. Well, here we go with the people saying I'm not really English. I know that. I'm saying that my family, who have all been kind of looking, like my mom has 11 people in her family, my dad has 6 in his, and they all really are interested in or most of them are interested in looking at our lineage, and they trace back to Mohill, Ireland, Quebecois, France, so French in some senses, and from Lancashire, England. I'd like to go back and kind of look at my roots.
Britain's superiority.
Here come the comments saying you're American. Screw you.
The memorial column at Trafalgar Square commemorates the victory that cemented Britain's superiority on the high
Admiral
seas.
Nelson.
The battle saw an outnumbered Admiral Horatio Nelson bravely sacrifice his life while leading his warships into the heart of the combined Spanish and French fleets, decimating them without losing a single British vessel. The victory ended any hope European conquerors like Napoleon had for invading Britain by sea, and set the stage for a peacetime boom. Propelled by inventions like the electric motor by London's Michael Faraday, the Industrial Revolution brought rapid urbanization and growth, and by 1831, London was the largest city in the world. It was also filthy. The Thames was an open sewer, capturing the waste of 3 million people. The stink and cholera it produced was unbearable. Chief Civil Engineer Joseph Bazalgette was put in charge of creating a modern sewer system, an innovative mega project.
Didn't Jay Foreman, Matt Men also do a video on this?
Was put in charge of creating a modern sewer system, an innovative mega project involving hundreds of miles of brick and cement tunnels combined with several pumping stations to move the sewage a few miles downriver and release it safely away from London. Another engineering marvel at this time was the underground. Through trial and error over 20 grueling years.
Guys, I heard of this crazy, like the tunnel that goes from, England to France. There had been like thoughts about doing that sort of thing, like far before it was actually done. And obviously they couldn't do it until better technology came along.
Project mastermind John Fowler's team perfected the technique of cut and cover, completing the Metropolitan line in 1863. It was both the world's first subterranean and rapid railway system. Today, it is the third longest metro system on Earth, and is still growing. the £19 billion Elizabeth Line was inaugurated this May, completing a phase that was the biggest construction project in all of Europe. The quality of transportation available to Londoners, including their roads and stagecoach service, allowed them to settle and commute farther from the city centre. With the population passing 6 million in the 1800s, middle-class workers were looking for homes with a modest garden. So developers built sprawling tracts in the outskirts, including the Beacon Tree Estate in Dagenham. With more than 25
You Europeans love your roundabouts. That's the biggest roundabout I've ever seen. And it's surrounding a neighborhood.
5,000 semi-detached dwellings, it was the largest housing development in the world. It seems suburbia began in Britain, foreshadowing the sprawl that was to come to places like Los Angeles. As London swallowed up more and more of the surrounding countryside, authorities contained it by reserving wide swaths of land for a green belt 7 to 10 miles deep around its built-up area. This so-called girdle could only be left wild, turned into parks, or used for agriculture, an idea sold to Londoners as guaranteeing their access to recreation. The citizens of Britain's other cities wanted access to clean air and nature too, and soon were adopting green belts of their own. In 1941, after Hitler's Air Force bombed London for 8 months, killing more than 30...
I'm going to watch a timeline video about this Battle of Britain. Like, what if they lost? I'm going to watch that soon.
1941, after Hitler's Air Force bombed London for 8 months, killing more than 30,000, many buildings were destroyed. However, with the green belt restricting development, the cost of the land available to build on rose. A trend that has continued until today, when 70% of the cost of a new building is now the purchase of the land, compared to just 25% in the 1950s. This has contributed to a severe shortage of affordable housing, and sparked a much-needed conversation about how to more wisely use London's precious public lands in ways that actually benefit the general public. Another post-war development was an increase in immigration to London from the British Commonwealth countries of India, Jamaica, and Pakistan. Today, more than 4 million Londoners are foreign-born, the fourth largest immigrant community in the world after New York, LA, and Paris. But drawing so many new arrivals has contributed to London's housing crunch, and the megacity now has the highest real estate prices in Europe. So developers try to stack more square footage on each plot of land, making buildings taller and changing London's notorious...
Isn't Paris more densely populated than London? Which makes it a bit surprising that London still has higher costs
on each plot of land, making buildings taller and changing London's notoriously low-slung skyline. The financial districts are home to most of the 103 buildings taller than 100 meters, the second most skyscrapers in Europe, behind Moscow. As a picturesque riverine city with layers of historic architecture, gorgeous greenscapes, an economy that hums along as the capital of one of the world's most stable democracies, it's no wonder why people and their money are drawn to London. However, the twin challenges of assimilating millions of foreigners and adapting to the rising cost of living, especially for those outside the capital, helped sway a majority of British voters to leave the European Union in the summer of 2016. A decision that continues to challenge the churn of occupants at 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister's residence. Just across from St. James Park is Buckingham Palace, official residence of the head of state of the United Kingdom, the newly crowned King Charles III.
Wait, I thought the first one we saw was Buckingham Palace.
Continues to challenge the...
I thought this was Buckingham Palace. Obviously not. I'm stupid.
Turn of occupants at 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister's residence.
It's so cool how there are like parking lots within these giant building complexes like that in the middle are hollow and you can drive through them and park.
Just across from St. James Park is Buckingham Palace, official residence of the head of state of the United Kingdom, the newly crowned King Charles III. While both Brexit and the role of a monarch in a modern society pose internal political challenges for the entire country, London is also grappling with the wicked problem facing the entire world: climate change. During the record heat wave this July that saw temperatures reach 40.2 Celsius or 104.4 Fahrenheit at Heathrow Airport, numerous parts of London were again ablaze. To the east, the steadily rising sea presents an enormous flood risk to an estimated £200 billion worth of property along the Thames, a tidal river. To protect the city, an impressive 520-meter retractable barrier was built in 1984, a structure the Environmental Agency believes should last,
I learned about this as well in another video,
with slight modifications, until 2070, a testament to the foresight of its design and engineering team. Water also presents another challenge. While London is sometimes
I feel like so many people, I don't know enough about climate change to make a legitimate point, right? But why is so much, so like, obviously we should prevent it by, you know, less fossil fuels and whatnot, but why is so little focused on, okay, climate change is coming, sea levels are rising. So I feel like so little is focused on, okay, if this is inevitable, why aren't we focusing more on creating measures to prevent flooding rather than like the macro scale of just lowering emissions? Does that make sense?
perceived as consistently socked in by fog and gray skies. It actually receives just half the rainfall of New York City, despite a significantly more northern latitude. It even gets less rain than the fairly dry cities of Rome, Lisbon, and Sydney. The problem is that the western half of southern England catches most of the rain systems from the Atlantic, receiving about 4 times the precipitation as the eastern half. As things continue.
Okay, so if you live in Norwich, then you'll see less of the stereotypical like gray London sky.
Continue to get drier and more unpredictable. Hydrologists warn that London, on the eastern dry side, may begin having water supply problems by 2050. So a debate is ongoing about whether to submerge a swath of Oxfordshire on the Thames to create a reservoir to store water for the megacity. But although London faces a few challenges from forces beyond its
Los
control,
Angeles, man.
solving them seems relatively straightforward. And looking ahead, London's position, well away from the coast, on a temperate island with no active volcanoes, is one of the most advantageous locations for any major city in history, which should allow it to continue as a top global city well into the 2100s.
We have a similar deal over here in New England. You know, there aren't that many hurricanes. There are some blizzards, not that much flooding. And you know, we don't get like giant tornadoes like some Midwestern and Southern states do, and we never get earthquakes. I did feel one earthquake. I was on the toilet at the time. TMI, sorry, but it's a fact. And it was so weird. It was just like, what am I trying to do? But yeah.
If you enjoyed this episode, check out my look at Jakarta, Indonesia's megacity, whose citizens face a far less certain future. And next up is Tehran, the capital of Iran.
Cool video. Awesome. Those images and views in this video of the city were so cool. And I'd love to know where he got that. I have the hiccups now. Great. Love you guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you can teach me something in the comments. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.